Good afternoon. Welcome to Colgate University's off-campus study information session. We're really happy to have you all here, and we're ready to get started with our program, just hoping that everybody's been able to get on okay. My name is Joanna Holvey-Bowles. I'm the Director of Off-Campus Study at Colgate University. And we're really excited to have you here. Normally, we do this presentation on the family weekend. We usually have 2 presentations every family weekend for people to come and look at our suite and interact with us. And of course, everything is not the same as normal. And so we're all here together virtually. And I hope that you'll find this information session helpful and that you will contact us for further information should you need additional help. So our goal today is to provide an overview of Colgate's off-campus study offerings, the process for admission, and ways that you and your families can discuss these offerings and how they fit into your family's plans and your students' plans. We also have 3 Colgate student perspectives today. We're lucky to have our peer advisors here, just as they always are, to answer questions and to give a perspective on what it's like to attend a program through Colgate University. We're very, very proud of the traditions of off-campus study at Colgate. We have 64% of Colgate students study off campus, and that is very exciting. We are actually the #1 nationally, the #1 university that is an undergraduate only that sends students for semester-long study. So we're very happy to share all of the news with you today. Our oldest program is actually a domestic program, not an international program at all. And that's in Washington, D.C. In fact, it was the first ever Washington, D.C. based semester study program in the United States, and it started in 1935. Our London Economics Study program is the longest serving program on our menu, and that started in 1962. We want to share information that we know that parents are specifically interested in, and these details will include insurance, lots of deadline information, and then the advice that we like to give for our students. What is the difference between travel and off-campus study? We do take pride, again, in making this an educational and academic pursuit. And so our programs are all vetted and reviewed by our university departments for their relevance to the Colgate degree. And you will learn much more in depth as we go through today. It is also an opportunity to, of course, learn about others' perspectives and cultural difference. And what better way to understand those differences than from being in another place. Even for students who study on the Washington, D.C. program and work exclusively on the Hill in internships, they're learning about a culture as well. So cultural engagement is a very important element of what we discuss and what we provide to students. And we prepare them for that in a series along the way in the preceding semester. Some of our study groups actually have courses affiliated with the course that's going abroad in this preceding semester. But this is a mission-driven thing for Colgate. We want Colgate students not to only learn in the classroom, but to also apply what they're learning in the classroom to life in another country or in another setting. We think that that global experience is really important to developing young people. We have 3 ways of doing this. Students can study on Colgate study groups, which are faculty-led semester-based groups, and there are up to 20 of those offered a year. And Colgate Extended Studies, only 5 to 8 of those, and they are campus-based courses followed by a short-term 3-week field-based program, which can be in a variety of topics, as you will hear later. And then there are approved programs. Approved programs are non-Colgate programs. They're organized by other universities or by other organizations, and they provide opportunities globally. Everywhere in the world you can think of is where our students sometimes go, to Nepal, to Ghana, to American Samoa, to just places all over the world. It's very exciting to see where our students go. So there are other elements I know that families are very interested in knowing about, and that's insurance. So we have travel medical insurance that we provide for our students who are on our programs. And this is a low-cost option. It's under $200 for the semester. And it's specialty study abroad insurance. In other words, it's only for people leaving the United States, and it's only really for study abroad students. So it's for people who are going to go outside the United States and knowing that they will travel to other places and the kinds of things that students get up to during those things. So there's medical insurance, emergency coverage, routine care, mental health coverage, all included in that, as well as pre-existing conditions, all inclusive. No co-payments or anything like that. We also have an umbrella insurance called International SOS. And this is a security analyst firm. And so they provide daily updates to us about what's going on in the world. We can ask them at any point in the semester, what's happening in this particular country? Are there any things we have to look out for? They talk about travel delays. They talk about civil unrest. They talk about impending natural storms or flooding or anything like that, so that we are always aware of what to expect. And all the students are covered under that, and all of the faculty are covered under that. And COVID has, of course, been part of this process, and we will talk about that later. Students still pay Colgate tuition to come on our programs, regardless of if it's a Colgate-sponsored program or if it's an approved program. More about that later too. But we are very proud that financial aid has a financial aid plus process. That covers students to go on one approved program, one semester program and one extended study program. Pre-departure programming is also a very important part of the service that our office provides, and that's to prepare students for all sorts of things, for visas, for student visas to get into other countries, for information about how to meet other people, about how to learn in another context, and also about how to prepare their own health conditions for studying abroad. So if your student has a pre-existing health condition, it's important that you get started thinking and talking about that early. Students can and do continue their treatment abroad routinely, and that's something that our office can help to facilitate if we know about it. So it's something that if you want to divulge it to us, we can help you. You don't have to tell us the treatment plan or anything. All you need to say is, we need some advice about this. How can we get the in-depth information we need? We can refer you to CISI, and we can refer you to the fact that we collect for our study group locations, people physicians and other medical providers who can help students on the ground. So these semester programs that we're going to talk about have a lot of common points. The full semester credit is, upon completion, is transferred toward the degree program. Students who are studying on Colgate programs, that's treated as residential credit. So you will hear more about that. And about half the students choose a study group and half an approved program. It's been sort of like that. We also try to do semester balancing to make sure that students, because they're all applying for the same time frame for both next fall and spring at the same time. So we're making sure that we're balancing those equations so that we can offer the fullest services, continue the full services on Colgate's campus as well as abroad. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Wendy Nugent, who's going to talk a little bit about study groups.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Wendy Nugent. I am a program manager with Off-Campus Study. There are two of us in the office who share this title. Susan Light is my colleague, and together we help faculty and students prepare for Colgate study groups. We also do general advising, and part of our responsibility is to help students and faculty prepare with their pre-departure plans and also with their return engagement and reflection. That's called re-entry, when students have studied off campus for a semester and then return to their regular life here at Colgate. I share the responsibility of helping students prepare for Colgate study groups, and I'd like to talk specifically about them. Colgate has, as Joanna introduced, more than 20 unique signature programs that are faculty-led, semester-long programs. Each of these groups is led by the Colgate professor, whom we call the faculty director. And the group sizes for the study groups range from about 14 to 18 students. So it's a really nice size where Colgate students get to know one another very well and bond with each other and their professor over the course of the semester. The offerings from faculty directors for our Colgate study groups range across disciplines. So we have study groups from departments that include foreign language, our social sciences, including economics, our natural sciences, mathematics, computer science, and the humanities. So students who have just about any major at Colgate can generally find a Colgate study group that will meet their needs. One of the special things about Colgate study groups is that any Colgate student who meets the prerequisites for a study group can apply. So there are some cases where study groups are specialized for discipline. For example, I mentioned economics. That's one that would be a little bit of a challenge for someone who is not studying economics to participate on. But we have many study groups that are more general and welcome students from all areas of study and areas of focus to apply and participate. Our study group locations are diverse. They are in the United States as well as international, and that's one of the reasons that we call our programs off-campus study instead of study abroad. Some of our study groups partner with a host university. So students will take perhaps 1 or 2 classes with the Colgate students and the Colgate faculty director, and then select electives from the host university to round out a full selection of courses. Some of our other study groups are standalone programs, and all of the courses are taught by either the faculty director or adjuncts who are hired especially for our programs alone. Student housing varies by program. Again, sometimes students will have the option to live in university dormitories or housing provided by the host university. In other cases, student housing exists in fully furnished apartments, or in some cases, students are able to immerse in language and culture with homestay plans. The costs of the program include not only the academic portion, but also day trips and overnight excursions that are planned and led by the Colgate faculty director. So your student can expect to participate not only in the academic experience, but also planned and prepared day trips and overnight excursions throughout the area locally and perhaps to other countries apart from the off-campus study location. So academic credit for study groups, as I mentioned, students will enroll in the faculty director's course. Sometimes there is one required course. Sometimes there are 2 courses offered by the faculty director. Whether or not the student is selecting electives from a host university or there are planned courses offered by our adjuncts, students always take a full load, which is 4 credits at Colgate. All of these courses count towards Colgate credit. Joanna referred to that as residential credit. And the grades students earn do show on the Colgate transcript and count towards the Colgate GPA. You'll learn later that for approved programs, this is a little bit different. The director's course automatically applies to a student's major or minor because it's taught by a Colgate faculty member. And if there are electives involved from a host university, A couple of steps for pre-approval will ensure that students can also earn credit towards a major, a minor, or in some cases, towards general credit applied to graduation. So here are a few of the Colgate study groups that are offered on a regular rotating basis. We offer 2 study groups to Australia, 1 each fall and 1 each spring. We have 3 programs in China. Taiwan is technically not part of China, forgive me. Hong Kong is now part of China. Beijing, of course, is the capital of China. We have several programs in London, England, programs in Freiburg, Germany, Venice, Kingston, Jamaica, Kyoto, Japan, St. Andrews, Scotland, Cape Town, South Africa, Madrid in Spain, Geneva, Switzerland. We have a domestic program in Santa Fe, New Mexico, a domestic program at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, an international program in Cardiff, Wales, and then back to the United States, a program in Washington, D.C. There are also other study groups that are not in the regular rotation that are sometimes offered less frequently than every year. A new study group that has just been added to our menu of choices for students that we're very excited about is a program in Otago, New Zealand, on the South Island of New Zealand. I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Erin Solly, who is going to talk about another Colgate program, the Extended Studies.
Hello. Hello, I'm Erin Solly. I'm the Operations and Communications Manager in Off-Campus Study. I'm here to talk about the Colgate Extended Studies, which I facilitate on behalf of the university and the faculty directors. The Extended Studies differ from the semester-long programs in being that a student would register during the semester for a semester-long on-campus course. The Extended Study is part of a 1-credit course or an additional 0.5 credits. At the end of the semester, that group would travel for 3 weeks or about 3 weeks with 1 to 2 faculty members who are leading the on-campus course to the destination students have been studying. Group sizes range from 15 to 25 students, depending on how many faculty directors are on the program. And we offer about 6 to 8 programs every year, and those are typically split up evenly between the 2 semesters. The extended studies they're very diverse. Every year, the faculty directors propose which programs they're going to be running for the next year. And they typically happen in more niche, diverse places than the study groups that take place at. Because the programs involve an on-campus course during the semester, the off-campus portions take place in December, January, or May, June, depending on if you're registered in a fall or a spring semester program. As I said, the locations are proposed by the faculty every year, so they change every year. And the focus is, like I said, unusual destinations that really have more to do with the content of the class that the faculty member was proposing. Costs are associated with the duration and the location of the program, so being that they're typically 3 weeks long, you can expect to pay less for housing and meals. So the charge, which is increased above the regular cost of attendance at Colgate, is slightly increased, and it's added into the student bill. As was mentioned earlier, students who are participating on extended study are eligible to receive financial aid for their extended study program, as well as 1 semester program. Now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Kaz Soa, who's going to talk about the approved programs.
Sorry about that. A little technical difficulty on that, but thank you, Erin. My name is Kaz Soa, and I'm the Associate Director in the Office of Off-Campus Studies. I work primarily with the non-Colgate programs, but I also assist Wendy and Susan with a very, very small number of the study groups as well. So for the approved programs, these are all program offerings that are not operated by Colgate. So we work with other universities, sometimes program providers, in order to expand the program offerings. Not all study groups can accept all students because we do have a limitation for the number of spaces on each program, and not all of the study groups can go to all of the places where the approved programs are located. All right, so there's over 100 approved programs in more than 50 countries. And some of the approved programs are also domestic programs as well too. So we do work with the Woods Hole program, which is a research center up in Massachusetts. There's also a theater program in Connecticut as well too. The size of the individual approved programs can range depending on the program. So some of them are small, where they might have 15 to 20 students. And other programs can range, some of the study centers can be up to several hundred students, depending on the structure of the program itself. The approved programs come in a number of different academic models. So oftentimes we talk about facilitated direct enroll, which would be a student is applying to the University of Edinburgh, but they're applying through a program provider in order to take their courses at the University of Edinburgh. Some of the programs are study centers, where they're basically centers in the sense that it's just study abroad students in the classes that are offered at that particular center. Some of the examples for a study center would be the Syracuse Florence program, the IES Vienna program, or even the DIS program that's in Copenhagen and in Stockholm. Some of the programs will offer field studies where students are doing a little bit more work in environmental studies, biology studies, things like that, that some of our own study groups would not be able to offer, because these programs offer these facilities, the science facilities that are available there. Some programs will come in a different model in the sense where students may be able to do directed research, and some students may turn that directed research into a senior thesis, and then possibly even into maybe a fellowships application like a Fulbright or a Watson. For the approved programs, even though they are resident, students don't receive direct, the credit is transfer credit from these programs. All right, so what that means is that while the grades are posted on their transcripts, the grades that they get are not figured into the Colgate GPA, since it's not Colgate teaching these courses on the programs. For all of the approved programs, the reason that they're on our list, or they exist as an option for students, is so that we can expand, again, the academic offerings. All of the approved programs may be recommended for certain majors as well too. So we list that on our website so that if a student is a religious studies major, they can go and look to see which programs the religion department would actually recommend that they participate in for a semester program. So again, we mentioned that it is transfer credit for approved programs. Colgate will allow up to 6 course units of transfer credit to apply to any degree here at Colgate, and students will always get 4 transfer credit on an approved program. So that's one of the things that they need to pay attention to, is that they don't exceed the transfer credit limit. Students who transfer into Colgate would be better looking at the Colgate study group, since that is direct resident credit. All right, again, the credit will appear on the transcript, but the GPA or the grades that students get are not figured into their Colgate GPA. And once again, if students want to get academic major or minor credit, the approval for that happens in the academic department. We have a transfer credit approval process where our office works with the registrar's office and with the academic department so that students can get credit towards major or minor requirements. Or they could also go on a study abroad program or an approved program just to receive general credits to fulfill those requirements. So basically, students have a lot of options here at Colgate. So in that sense, we don't make it easy on them. So they have many, many things that they need to review to find the best fit program for them. So we talked about their academic goals and their personal goals. And what we would like students to do is talk with their families about these things as well too. We will support the students through the process, but we want to make sure that they understand all of the implications for major, minor credit, what program fits their personal needs, how the costs from the program are going to be figured in the overall personal plans for the students. So we mentioned before that all semester program students are paying Colgate tuition. Students do need to pay attention to housing costs because they can vary from program to program. On approved programs, students will pay Colgate tuition, but then they'll be paying the housing fees of the individual program. Some programs that are located in cities that are more expensive than Hamilton may have higher housing costs. So we want to make sure, again, that students are taking that into consideration. We also want them to think about just the general cost for the programs, what they hope to do and accomplish while they're on the program, the distance of the program. So for instance, students going to Australia, New Zealand, they are going quite a distance away, and they need to realize that it won't be easy for them necessarily to get home. We want to make sure that students are independent on these programs, but also that they have the support that they need so that they have a successful semester. We're looking at health conditions. We're looking at a variety of things that students need to consider, and we hope that they're talking to their families about as they're selecting their programs. Some students may come to you and decide, oh, now I'm studying Arabic and I want to go to an Arabic speaking country, or I want to go to China because now I've decided I'm going to include Chinese language in my studies. So we want to make sure that students and their families look at all locations, again, to find the location that works best for them, the program that works best for them, what the housing situation is on the program, because some may only include homestays, or some may have the option of a homestay or a residence hall. So again, they should be looking at everything that works for them to decide, is it a Colgate study group, or is it an approved program that is the better fit for them on what they want to do and how this fits into their overall Colgate degree. Some of the programs may have different calendar timeframes, but so that's another thing that we want to make sure that students are taking into consideration. We want them speaking with their academic advisor or their home departments, again, to make sure that this is still an appropriate program. We offer a number of general information sessions for students to take part in so that we can answer their questions. They can schedule any appointment with myself, Susan, Wendy, any of the advisors in the off-campus studies office. We also have representatives from the various approved programs that will host information sessions on campus throughout the semester before the application deadlines. And then lastly, we always encourage students to talk to some of the peer advisors that we have so that they can speak with students who've already gone through the process in order to get the student experience for studying abroad, again, to make the appropriate decision for themselves on their programs. So today, we do have 3 of our peer advisors with us, and we've asked them to give kind of a brief presentation as to why they chose their program and then their overall experiences on their programs. So now I'd like to introduce Danielle. Danielle has actually gone on several different types of programs. She did an extended study as well as a study group to South Africa. So I'm going to turn it over to Danielle to speak a little bit about her experiences.
Hi, like Kaz said, my name is Danielle and I'm a senior peer advisor. I've been working in off-campus studies since my first year at Colgate. I'm a geography and religion double major. And like Kaz said, I have participated in 2 off-campus study programs during my time at Colgate. The first was an extended study to China in the summer of 2019. The program was called Environmental Problems and Activism in the People's Republic of China. So while in China, my classmates and I worked with and learned from local NGOs and local schools in 3 different cities in China. The second program I went on was the Colgate study group to Cape Town, South Africa in the fall of 2019 at the University of Cape Town. There I was able to take 2 Colgate classes, Natural Resources and Sustainability, which counted toward my geography major, and Representations of Africa. Then we were allowed to choose 2 University of Cape Town classes of our own choice. So I took Gender and Development and African Religious Traditions. I spent a lot of my free time hiking, going to the beach, going to museums, and a lot of other locations around Cape Town. I'm also a student athlete here at Colgate, so I was able to join University of Cape Town's track club and spend a lot of time there. So that was awesome. My study group and I also went on class trips to eco-villages, a water treatment plant, Robben Island, the surrounding winelands and farms, and a game reserve, among other sites. And now that I'm back on campus, I've been able to meet with other students and help answer their questions, talk about my experiences, and advise them toward choosing programs that fit their academic interests, just as my programs did for me. I'm really excited to get to help your child make their own off-campus study decision, as are my fellow peer advisors. Now I'm going to turn it over to my fellow peer advisor, Katie, to share a little bit about her experience.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Gardner. I'm a psychology major and a bio and educational studies double minor here at Colgate. I'm also a senior. I've been working for the Office of Off-Campus Study for the past 3 years now. I think this is my 3rd year working here. So I was an office assistant, I guess was my position, and now I've been upgraded to a peer advisor because I have now gone abroad and I can now answer more questions. So I went on the Wales study group this past spring. It was a neuroscience, psychology, and biology cross-listed study group. So the class we took together was called neuroethology, and that class counted towards a neuroscience, a psychology, or a bio credit, whatever you needed for your major or minor. So I'm a psychology major and a bio minor, so it was the perfect fit for me. While abroad, we took that course together as a group, and then we also took 3 other Welsh culture courses that focused on the culture and the language of Wales, which was really nice. It really immersed us in the culture there. And I feel like Wales isn't a place that we knew much about going in, so it was nice to learn more about where we were staying. And then we were able to take up to 2 other electives from Cardiff University. So I went abroad in the spring, so I was sent home early, unfortunately, like everyone else who was traveling at that time. And I think the most important thing for me while abroad was the community I built with my study group. Even though we were only there for 2 months, we all became such close friends. Like we've already met up this semester to catch up, and throughout quarantine, we had weekly calls just to like stay in touch. And I think that community really helped with the transition coming home. But while we were there, we had so much fun. We went on a lot of field trips to places that I wouldn't have considered visiting if I wasn't with my group. We went to like a bird sanctuary and a lot of castles. And at first I had some apprehensions about the field trips because I felt like they might feel like a high school field trip or a field trip in middle school, but they actually were so much fun. They were part of my favorite memories there because they were just things that I would have never experienced if I hadn't gone on the study group. Yeah, even though I was only there for 2 months, I had so much fun. I would recommend Wales to anybody. It was such a beautiful city. And definitely the study group experience was an amazing one for me. And I love all the friends that I met both abroad and here at Colgate. So it was nice to come back and have a new group of friends here. So yeah, I'm excited to answer any questions that your students might have going forward in their choices to study off campus. So now I'm going to turn it over to my fellow peer advisor, Caroline.
Oh, I was on mute there. Hi, everyone. I'm Caroline, and I'm a senior like the other two peer advisors, and I'm a double major in international relations and peace and conflict studies with a concentration in the Middle East. And I've had the opportunity to travel with off-campus study every year at Colgate so far. My first year, I participated in an extended study to Morocco. So I took a class in the second semester of my first year on Moroccan history and culture, and I was also studying Arabic. And I studied with my sophomore year, I studied with sophomore residential scholars and got to travel to Rome for a week. And that was through taking one of the core requirements for Colgate, Legacies of the Ancient World. And then my junior year, last year, I was abroad for a full year. I first went to Amman, Jordan with the School of International Training, and I went on a program that was centered on refugees, health, and humanitarian action. I got to live with a host family, and I had been studying Arabic all throughout my time at Colgate, and so this was an awesome opportunity to be immersed in Arabic language and practice speaking with my host family. I also got to do an independent research project while I was in Amman. So I got to conduct interviews with Jordanian and Syrian families about their children's experiences. And one of the best things about my program in Amman was the excursions that we got to do. So we got to do a lot of traveling as a group around Jordan. We got to go to the Dead Sea, to Petra, to Wadi Rum and the Jordan River. I also got to go on a week-long excursion to Geneva, where we looked at sort of the health relief organizations and international institutions that are dealing with the refugee crisis. And then I returned to Geneva in the spring because I participated in the Colgate study group there. And like Katie, we did get sent home early, but during the 2 months that I was there, I had so many wonderful opportunities. As part of the Geneva study group, all of the students have an internship position, and I had an internship with an international NGO called Arigato International. And as part of that, I got to attend the United Nations Human Rights Council and sit in on council sessions and write reports for my organization. And we also took classes at the Graduate Institute in Geneva. I had a chance to study French and study with a Colgate professor about international institutions. And we also got to take a lot of field trips and travel as a group. So we got to go to Vienna, Berlin, Krakow, and Vilnius to visit different international organizations. And overall, I had an incredible experience while I was abroad, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And I look forward to talking to your students and helping them decide where they want to study abroad.
Okay, sorry about that. Somehow we've lost our thing. Here we go. There we are. Okay. I forgot to tell you just how great are our students, by the way. Thank you so much to our peer advisors for making it all such a personal opportunity for our visitors today to know how it was to be on our various programs. Thank you very much. I neglected to mention early on that we will have a question and answer series immediately following this portion of the presentation, and that we have, in fact, recorded this so that we can continue to offer it on our website at a later date. So I just wanted to briefly go over the COVID-19 issues that I'm sure that you are thinking about and wondering about, and maybe had questions on when you decided to join this today. So of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has really impacted very with great emphasis the opportunity to study in other locations. And we have designed all sorts of COVID-19 protocols for students to be on campus, as you are all aware. And health and safety issues are taking precedence in how we organize programs and how we deliver them and how we work with our sponsoring organizations and our partner institutions, and indeed the countries that we would be sending students to. So we are anticipating that for the next year, the year that your family is looking at one of your Colgate students taking part in, we anticipate new regulations. There are discussions about the need for potentially a health passport to prove that you have had a vaccine, for instance, or that you have had a test within a certain amount of time upon arrival, and whether or not there are issues related to US citizens being able to go from place to place. These are all things that are being considered. These are all things that we're looking at. In fact, we are in touch with all of our provider programs to collect all of the regulations under which they would govern their programs under COVID in terms of housing, dedensification, medical care, isolation and quarantine, all the same things that we're facing here at the campus, we need to be aware of for taking care of COVID in the future. Now, of course, we don't have a crystal ball. We thought that this might be a different scenario than we're in right now. We just don't know what next fall and next spring will look like from the COVID perspective. But we do think that some of those things I've already mentioned will be in place. One of the things that we're concerned about are the airlines. The airline industry has been hard hit. And one of the wonderful things when everything was running smoothly was the ability for students to travel. For programs that are continuing to operate, there are not many of them. A lot of them had put in place restrictions on personal travel. For one, there were a lot of the locations where we normally send students have a mandatory quarantine of 2 weeks for international students. And so all of our students would be international in those locations. And if they left the country to go someplace else, they might have to repeat quarantine upon arriving into the country. So there are a lot of new regulations and potential changes for the ways in which study abroad may be conducted. And that includes the way that students take advantage of being in a different location and traveling around. So these are all things that we're keeping an eye on, that the university is well aware of. Both the Associate Dean in our office and I sit on the Emergency Operations Center for the campus and are asked to provide information about regulations and things like that. So the U.S. Department of State and the Centers for Disease Control both have very restrictive prohibitions at the moment for citizens going outside the United States. And keeping in mind that our students are mostly there for a semester, they have to have a visa. A lot of the visa issuing bodies for students have been closed. And so these are all things that are difficulties, but we are on top of, and we feel that it is a reasonable thing to anticipate that, that life will be easier following next summer. So we are excited, cautiously optimistic, I would say is a better term, about what we should anticipate for next year. So I wanted to let you know that we do have a frequently asked questions link here, and this is the off-campus website for Colgate University. So if you're searching, if you go to the Colgate website, it's colgate.edu/OCS, off-campus study. You can find all of these things and see what we have to say about a variety of topics. So there's a frequently asked questions portion. We have our own COVID-19 section. You can get there from Colgate Together as well, but this is going to be updated shortly for an October update, but right now it goes into frequently asked questions and answers to those questions. And so we urge you to look at that when you get the chance. I'm also wanting to let you know that Wendy Nugent, we're going to go back to Wendy Nugent. This brings us to a formal conclusion of our presentation, but we're now going to turn it over for questions and answers because we know that many of you have lots of questions. We are going to try and wrap it up at 5 o'clock, but we have lots of opportunities for you to ask questions because our application deadlines are so early. The application for study groups is open now and will close on November 4th, and that's for all programs on offer for next year. The approved program application will close in February. And so we have a lot of time, but we also have a lot of time to talk with you and to answer questions you and your family have. So we look forward to working with you. We look forward to working with your students. And I know that Caroline, Katie, and Danielle would also be delighted to talk with them. So Wendy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Joanna. I want to let all of the participants know that if you have a question you would like us to address, you may type your question in the chat box that's called Q&A. I have had a look at some of those questions, and I just want to remind everyone that you can find information about off-campus study on our website. You and your student have access to the same information on our website. Your student can make an appointment to speak with an advisor through our website. Of course, those appointments are virtual now, so that will be a Zoom or a Google Hangout meeting. Students can also make an appointment to speak with a peer advisor through our website. So some of you have asked, how can my student access information and get personalized advising about their options for off-campus study? Keep in mind that your student should also speak to their freshman advisor, or if they're a bit older and have declared a major, they should speak to their academic advisor in their major department to learn more about their options. So now I'd like to address one of the questions that I have seen on the Q&A, which has to do, of course, with costs of off-campus study. So I am going to call on my colleague Erin Soley to answer questions about costs of the program. And the specific question, Erin, is, regardless of the program, does my student pay full Colgate tuition? And are there other costs, for example, airfare or housing or additional costs on top of Colgate tuition that I can expect to see on my student bill?
Sure. Thank you, Wendy. So yes, students on any program, approved program, study group, or extended study, continue to pay Colgate tuition and other fees that have to do with being on campus. There are additional charges for all programs. So depending on which program you are on or your student is on, the charges will be different, and they'll have to do with the destination of the program. The approved programs and the study groups are similar in costs and additional costs above the cost of attendance, although they are slightly different based on what kind of housing you're on, where in the world you're going to. The extended studies, because they're 3 weeks long, the charges are less than the semester-long programs, but there's still an additional charge above the cost of attendance for being on campus during the semester. Those charges are added to the student account before you go on the program. So for study groups, those charges are added on like October, November for the spring programs, or August for the July, August for the fall programs. And that's similar for both the study groups, approved programs, and the extended studies. Financial aid students are eligible for financial aid for increased costs above the cost of attendance for all of those programs. You would only receive increased financial aid for a one semester program as well as one extended study. We cannot tell you what that financial aid would be. The way the financial aid works is that the cost of the program is added onto your cost of attendance, or onto your student's cost of attendance, and then financial aid, who has an algorithm formula for each student would then rerun that formula and then would provide the aid based on the increased cost on that.
Thank you, Aaron. I've noticed that there are some general questions about when most of our Colgate students study off campus. And I'll just answer that quickly because I can tell you that for most of our Colgate students, junior year is the time that they go off campus. However, there are some situations where a sophomore may be eligible to do a semester-long program in the spring of their sophomore year. And we do have seniors who often choose a program that is unique for them, and we accommodate them to study off campus for their senior year. There are questions also about transfer credit and the process of getting pre-approval for credit, whether that's on an approved program or a Colgate study group. And I'd like to ask my colleague Kaz to talk about the process of getting major or minor approval in advance of a semester-long program, whether it be a study group or an approved program.
Sure, it's a great question too. So we work with the registrar's office where there is a standard form that they have developed for any transfer credit from any of the approved programs, or for the students on study groups where they're directly enrolling at a local institution. So students would take that form and a copy of a course description of a class that they would like to take abroad to the appropriate academic department if they want to get major or minor credit for that particular subject. All right, so then it's mostly the department chair in each department, or they may assign a specific faculty member to oversee transfer credit. But in most cases, for most departments, it is the department chair. So the department chair would sign off on those courses for either major or minor credit. Most departments will only give up to 2 course units for major credit from a study abroad program and 1 course unit towards a minor. But there are some variations on that depending on the academic department. The political science department, for instance, has a full list of how they handle transfer credit on their website. So it's easy for somebody to just go and look at that. But we always would have students speak directly to the department chair for major, minor credit on study groups or approved programs. For general credit, most students are usually getting credit for area of inquiry, and that would be handled again through the registrar's office, that they would denote how this is designated for degree requirements for any particular student. So again, there is an approval process. There's a form that students would complete, both with the academic department, and then it's put on file in the registrar's office before they leave. Should a student decide to change their registration while they're abroad, they can do so, but they're asked to send the course information and the registration back to the registrar's office so that the appropriate approvals are then done in advance, so that students know before the end of the semester that they are definitely getting either the major or the minor credit or the general credit for those subjects that they take abroad. So I hope that answers that question.
Thank you, Kaz. We have time for answering just one more question, and I will address it. A lot of folks are asking about the process for applying and deadlines. So we have 2 deadlines for our programs. The study group application is now open, and students can access that on our website. The deadline for students to apply to a study group is November 4th. The faculty directors will consider the applications and make an announcement in the end of December as to who they have offered positions for their study group. The application process for approved programs comes later, and that application will be open in November and the deadline will be in February. So some students will prioritize an application for a Colgate study group, then see how that shakes out, and follow up with an application to an approved program. Other students know from the start that they would prefer to do an approved program, and therefore they can, of course, focus on the second application process, which is a little bit longer of a deadline into February. Our time is up, and I want to make sure that I have enough time to close with our director, Joanna, who is going to say just a few words and let you know again where you can find all of this information again. And I'll thank you for your time and attention. Joanna.
Thank you, Wendy. And thank you all for coming today. I know this is a difficult way to engage with us and to hear our information. We've all done it from our various homes, as maybe you are, as well as you are, is probably doing too. So under difficult circumstances, we were all able to come together and talk about what a marvelous opportunity this is. We look forward to helping your students. As we said, there are multi-layered approaches to this, so they can look on our website and find out all sorts of things from soups to nuts. So how to get advice from the students and learn more about each of the peer advisors and their own videos. How to look at all the study groups. All the study groups are actually currently up on our website, and students can look at videos. We just had our virtual fair on Wednesday, where the faculty were there, and they've also each done a video this year explaining their programs for next year. And they have a flyer with written explanation about everything. And they're also hosting additional information sessions, so students can look at the videos, they can look at the flyer and the poster, and they can then attend the information sessions that the faculty member for that specific group has articulated. We also have schedule and advising process on our website. So again, this is colgate.edu/OCS. Everything is there. COVID-19 information is there, but lots and lots of wonderful explanation and sort of a dance through various cultures to find out what it's like to go on a study group, an approved program, or a shorter extended study. There are cost estimates for all of our programs. They are also available online. So each program has a breakdown of the costs and the estimated additional costs for you and your family to review. So we hope you take advantage of that. We hope you'll send us an email. You can send us an email to off-campusstudy@colgate.edu. You can send us questions through the email, or you can look around on the website. You can give us a call. And we are remote, but we are taking calls. So we look forward very much to helping you and your family navigate the wonderful world that we have and access it for next year. Thank you all so much for attending. Thank you. Bye-bye. So is Becky still here?
She is listed,
Yeah.
but she's muted. And now she's gone.
Now she's gone. Okay, so I guess
I'm the host now. I think we should actually log off.
Yes, I think we should log off. So if you, thanks so much, ladies. You did a great job, fabulous job, yay. And really appreciate your helping out. We're gonna ask you to do it again if you're available next time. That'll be from 4 to 5 next week. And we're gonna be talking to juniors and seniors next week. So, or families of juniors and seniors. So it said we had 109 today.
Wow.
Oh,
Including us 8.
Including us 8, so 101. Okay, great. Yeah, okay. So it's great to talk to you, and I'll see you all soon. All right, good night. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.